January 29th, 2022. Braintree, Massachusetts. You hear about a man found dead in the snow. It's a really stark image, isn't it?
It is, and right away your mind just floods with questions. Who? How?
Exactly. That initial shock, the confusion in the community, it really sets the stage for, well, everything that followed.
Absolutely. And pretty quickly, the focus zooms in. We learn the man is John O'Keefe, and you start hearing about those frantic first moments after he's found.
Yeah, like Peggy O'Keefe arriving at the hospital. You can only imagine that scene, the raw emotion.
Completely. And then you have Karen Reed, the woman who was with him earlier.
And her question to Peggy, apparently repeated, "Peg, is he dead? Is he dead?" It just screams panic.
Total panic. But then there are those other words she reportedly said, "I left him at the waterfall."
Right. I left him at the waterfall. Such a specific, strange detail that just hangs there. What waterfall? Why?
It immediately muddies the waters, doesn't it? It's not a clear explanation. It's fragmented, like pieces of a puzzle just thrown out there in distress.
And then, almost right on top of that, another huge piece drops. Jen McCabe.
Ah, yes. Jen McCabe reportedly hears Karen saying something else entirely.
Chilling words. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. I mean, on the surface, that sounds pretty definitive.
It does. But, and this is crucial, the big question becomes, did Jen really hear that? Or hear it accurately? Especially in that chaos.
That's the core tension right there. Is it a confession or is something else going on? It sets up this whole dynamic of, well, who's telling the truth?
And it really highlights the whole issue with eyewitness accounts in, super stressful situations. Memory isn't a perfect recording device.
No, definitely not. It can get warped, especially under that kind of pressure. It's not always about lying. Sometimes it's just how memory works or doesn't work.
Precisely. Our perception, our recall. It can be fragile.
Okay, so you've got this intense, immediate aftermath, but then fast forward to the trial and things take another turn, a really unexpected one.
You mean with the ARCCA investigators?
Exactly. The defense starts questioning them, their methods, their findings. ARCCA, for anyone not familiar, they do accident reconstruction, forensics.
Right, they're the experts brought in to analyze the physical evidence, give opinions on what happened.
But the defense challenging them, that throws a massive wrench into the prosecution's narrative.
It really does, because it shifts the focus. Suddenly, it's not just about what Karen Reed did or didn't do, it's about the investigation itself. Was the evidence handled right? Was the analysis sound?
If you start doubting the evidence process, then the conclusions drawn from it, they start to look shaky,
Totally. And then there's that note, the one shown in court.
Oh yeah, need to show the jury it doesn't matter. Wow, talk about explosive.
That note suggests, it suggests potential bias, doesn't it? Like maybe there was a push to reach a certain conclusion, regardless of what the analysis actually showed.
Which is the opposite of what you expect, right? You want investigators following the evidence, not sort of steering it.
Ideally, yes. An objective pursuit of facts. If that note implies something else, it damages the credibility of that part of the investigation, potentially the whole thing.
And you could feel the tension when the prosecutor reacted, basically accusing the analyst of helping the defense.
And the analyst firing back. I'm on the side of science. Very dramatic.
It really underscored the pressure cooker environment of that trial, so much at stake.
But that passionate denial, I'm on the side of science. While strong, it doesn't automatically erase the question raised by the note, does it?
Not at all. It just puts the spotlight back on trust in the experts, trust in the process, especially when science gets pulled into this adversarial legal battle.
Where each side is trying to build its own narrative.
And the public reaction, especially online, it just went wild. People weren't just debating Karen Reed anymore.
No, the questions got much bigger. Can we trust any of the evidence? Were the procedures followed? Was this whole thing handled correctly from the start? The scrutiny just amplified like crazy?
It tapped into that wider unease people sometimes feel, Questions about the system, about whether justice is really being served impartially.
When the integrity of an investigation gets questioned like this, it can definitely shake public confidence in the whole legal process. It's bigger than just one case.
Okay, let's talk about a really critical moment in the trial itself. Jen McCabe on the stand.
Oh, absolutely pivotal. The questioning around her memory, specifically about hearing Karen say, I hit him.
Can you imagine sitting there faced with this huge transcript? What was it, 227 pages?
Right, 227 pages of her own prior statements and being grilled on exactly what was said, when, and trying to recall it under that intense pressure.
It really paints a picture of how difficult memory recall can be, especially for something traumatic and chaotic long after the fact.
And the way the attorney pushed her, find it in the transcript where you said you heard those words, or admit you weren't truthful. Very direct.
Yeah, a classic cross-examination tactic, trying to poke holes, find inconsistencies, confrontate.
It definitely shows the adversarial system at work, but it also makes you think, is perfect recall even possible or fair to expect in those circumstances? How reliable can memory be?
And it all culminated in that moment after all the back and forth, the struggle. She finally says it.
Yeah. What, don't remember?
Yeah, I don't remember. Those 3 words. They land with such weight, don't they? Especially regarding that key piece of alleged evidence.
They really do. It powerfully underscores the fallibility of memory. It's not a video playback. It changes, it fades, it gets influenced.
So it leaves you asking, how much weight can you put on that initial report of what she supposedly heard, especially given everything?
That becomes a central question for the jury and for anyone trying to understand this case. How reliable is that testimony now?
Which brings us back to the fundamental questions that are still kind of hanging there. What actually happened to John O'Keefe?
Was it just a horrible, tragic accident? Hit by a car left in the snowstorm?
Or was it something more deliberate, something sinister?
Or the other possibility that's been raised. Was there some kind of cover-up? An attempt to obscure what really happened, maybe protect someone?
All those scenarios still seem, well, possible based on everything that's come out. The evidence, the testimony, it's created more questions than definitive answers, hasn't it?
It really has. There's so much reasonable doubt floating around, so much conflicting information, that uncertainty is maybe the defining feature of this story right now.
And it's important to remember, this isn't over. Our sources show it's still an active situation. Developments are likely still happening.
Exactly. The full picture might not be visible yet. The narrative could still shift as more information comes to light or as existing information is reevaluated.
It's a reminder that getting to the truth in complex situations like this, it's a process, sometimes a long one.
Gathering facts, weighing evidence, seeing how the pieces fit or don't fit.
So as this continues, and as you, listening, think about this case, keep those possibilities in mind. Accident, something worse, a cover-up.
Each one implies a very different reality.
And I think the key takeaway here is that when the truth is this murky, when you have these competing narratives,
Every single detail matters. Every piece of evidence, every statement, how it was collected, how it's presented, it all needs careful scrutiny.
because the clues to what really happened are probably buried in those details.
Somewhere.
The full truth here, it feels like it's still waiting to be uncovered. Until our next deep dive, keep thinking about the complexities, because this case really shows every detail matters.